What's up, nerds? Welcome back. You remember when Red X was first announced to be coming to the comics, and everybody thought, oh, this is going to be so cool. We have a new character who's going to be Red X, and we were all just waiting for the reveal of who the character actually was. Yeah, I hope you weren't actually expecting any sort of payoff, because DC has basically committed to never giving us any kind of payoff. And so, with that type of intro, we're going to be talking today about Teen Titans Academy number 10. So I know that one thing that I always say in my videos is that I know that DC and Marvel are not watching my videos. They're not paying attention to what I say. They're not listening to my complaints or my critiques. They don't care. They really don't care. I know I say that, but every so often they do things that I'm like, are y'all listening to me? Did you hear what I had to say here? And are you now just fucking with me out of pure spite? Because that's what it seems to be like we have here. Because if you remember, if you've been following with me on this ridiculous journey of Teen Titans Academy since it first began, I don't know how many months ago, but I've been covering it since the beginning, I was pretty sure that Red X was Dane, the little blonde boy who now has like angel wings and is apparently like the son of some like lord of hell. I was pretty sure it was him. And then all of a sudden DC was like, "Oh, we got to fuck with this guy. This guy in particular, fuck him." So we're about to like really like just completely switch it up. So now what they have going on is they literally have Red X as a separate person running around with Dane. So I'm like, okay, so then it very obviously is not him. Fuck you too, DC Comics. But let's just get into what we actually have here. There's a whole lot that has been going on since the last time I reviewed this, which I think was issue 7. Because issue 8 had to do with like Gorilla Grodd and like Gorilla Greg, who was like his nephew or whatever the hell. I don't know how that turned out because I didn't buy the follow up issue. I had no interest in it. Once they dropped the whole Red X thing, I was like, I'm done. And then I heard, well, they're actually going to be bringing back the Red X thing. So I picked up Teen Titans Academy number 9, and that was where Roy Harper finally comes back to life, and all the Titans are like celebrating the fact that he's back. And now we're finally getting back to like the actual students. You know, what the focus of this book was supposed to have been. Yeah, we're finally getting back to that. So, for one thing, we finally get a little bit more backstory on this character of Dane, who now goes by Nevermore. Get it? Because like the Edgar Allan Poe story about the Raven, Nevermore is what. Yeah, it's stupid. It's just it's like it requires the barest amount of literacy and historical knowledge for you to get like, oh, okay, that's why they call him Nevermore. Like that's all it takes. If you've ever even heard of Edgar Allan Poe, you probably know why this character is called Nevermore. That's why it annoys the shit out of me. Anyway, so we see where he's actually being born and everything like that. And what year is this? 138 years ago. So yeah, we're in like this little like I don't know what they're called. I've a convent. There you go. I was like, I know because I was raised Catholic. I was like, I know nuns to some degree, but some nuns are kind of fucking weird. You know what I mean? Like, did y'all even know? I'm just gonna like segue away from this for just a second. Did y'all know there are feminist nuns? That is a thing. That is absolutely a thing. Feminist nuns actually exist. So when they pray and like you know how we do the sign of the cross, it's like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. When they do it, it's not the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's the Creator, the Redeemer, and the Holy Spirit. So they keep that one the same. But yeah, that's the thing. In case you never knew, that's the thing. Feminist nuns, yeah. The Catholic Church is pretty fucked too, but you don't need me to tell you that because I could tell you about that all day long. Anyway, so yeah, he's being born here in this little like convent, I guess. And of course, there are all these like ravens and shit that are showing up, and they're kind of like witness to the birth of Dane, as these nuns are basically like being the midwives or whatever. So she delivers, and then she's like wanting to hold the baby for a second, and like the head nun or whatever is like, well, that's not really, you know, the way this is supposed to go. She's like, well, please, just for a moment, I just want to see him for a moment. So they're like, all right. And for whatever reason, and I think she even mentions it here, yeah, She even says, like, look at all that blonde hair, because he's literally born with like a full head of hair, which isn't weird, but usually whenever a baby is born with a full head of hair, like, it all just falls out. Like, babies always end up bald. Even if they're born with hair, they lose it all pretty quick. Like, I was born, my mom said that I was born like very red and with like very black hair, so everybody thought I was like Native American or something. And then all the black hair fell out, my skin turned to more of a whitish complexion, and then I actually grew blonde hair. So everybody thought I was, they did not believe that I was my mom's son. She's told that story many times to me and other people, that they literally did not believe I was hers. They thought she was babysitting for somebody else because I didn't look anything like her. But well, there's no denying it anymore. There's been a lot of people who have seen me and like seen my mom. They're like, you look exactly like your mom. So it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, so she's like gets to hold the baby for a second, and then she asks them to like name him Dane, which I guess they did end up like honoring or whatever, and then she dies. So that's where we go back over to the present, where Dane has escaped. If you didn't keep up with the last issue, I don't blame you. Basically, what happened was the supervillain, the telekinetic or telepathic, I guess, Simon, which is Psimon. He had basically abducted Dane and Red X and a few other of the like Teen Titans Academy like students or whatever, and he was mind controlling them because he was telling them like there's a war that's coming and the Titans are trying to assemble their own army. I'm trying to assemble my own army so that way we can actually like, you know, butt heads or whatever the hell. But they basically all decided no, that's not going to happen, and Red X got really pissed off, and then he ended up basically killing Simon. I think if I remember correctly, he damn near decapitated him. So that all happened, and then they escaped through a portal. So that's where we find Nevermore here. And Red X, where they basically fell through the portal and they're seeing all this other shit going on. Basically, it's just kind of like a flashback of events of like other things that have gone on. Anyway, so they're falling through, and Red X is asking him, like, what's going on, Dane? He just says, well, everyone calls me Nevermore now. And it's like, I don't really know if everyone calls you that. I mean, maybe he told everybody that's the name he goes by now, but as far as I remember from the Shazam series, because I actually read the Shazam miniseries, he only told Shazam about that. So while they were in hell. So I don't really know how everybody else all of a sudden knows that too, unless some time has passed and he told everybody, hey, I'm going by Nevermore now. Whatever. So they finally get to the end of wherever this portal is taking them, and Red X goes to take off his mask, to which Nevermore tells him, no, leave it on. And then he goes on to explain that mask is your power. You should never, ever give it up. Especially not here. So I hope you were never expecting to get any actual payoff from the whole Red X thing, because apparently, from what we can see here, apparently there's no plan to ever reveal who Red X is. It will just forever be a mystery. Red X is just Red X. If you were thinking it was going to be some cool tie-in or some cool connection to some other character, sorry, it's not going to happen. According to what we have here. Now, yes, they could end up saying, fuck you, Dylan, and end up actually revealing it to somebody, you know, within a few issues. I don't really get the feeling that's going to be the case. I get the feeling it's going to be that they'll just drag this shit out because they think Red X is that compelling. And it won't be until the point where everybody literally stops caring and that they're finally going to be like, okay, let's go ahead and reveal who it is and see if we can get people back. Mark my words, that's probably the way it'll go. Once everybody stops caring who the fuck Red X is, that's probably when they'll go ahead and do the reveal because they'll think, hey, that'll get the people back to us. So we'll see. Anyway. So he's telling him, like, I have other powers, and where exactly is here? So basically, he's brought him back to the place where he was born, and he's kind of, like, filling him in, and he says that it's St. Michael, Sierra Lumbre, or I guess as the white people would say, Sierra Lumbre. So he's brought him to Sierra Lumbre, Arizona, around 1890, which is where he was born. And then he, like, turns and tells him, like, I'm older than I look. So he says, now, we need to talk about what you just did. Like I mentioned, the whole, like, killing of Simon. And that takes us over to the actual Titans, the grown-up ones. Where they were all kind of basically standing around trying to figure out, like, okay, we know what just happened. We know that they got away via a portal. So we need to figure out what is our next move. What are we going to actually do when we go to apprehend them? Because we know we're going to find them. What are we going to do once we actually find them? And so that's where they're kind of like just discussing, and it's Roy Harper who's basically saying it's a simple and effective way to get Simon out of your head. Because it's like, well, I'm just saying, he did the right thing. He killed Simon, and it's probably the quickest way to get him out of your head. To which Donna Troy says, by removing his, did you come back with a few screws loose, Mr. Speedy? He's like, I mean, probably. And then he also says, like, my name is actually Mr. Arsenal, unless somebody else is going by that name, because apparently only here and only when it comes to Roy Harper does he actually care about, well, I'm not going to go by the same name of somebody else. I've had this debate with many people before, especially when it comes to like Miles Morales, when people are like, well, they can both be running on with the same name. I know the difference. It's like, all right, that's fine, but you still have to call Miles Morales by his full government name for you to know who you're actually talking about. Anyway, so he says, like, oh, what do you think, Swami, talking to Raven? And she says, we'll meet Simon again. And he's like, see? And she says, if we survive the apocalypse, to which he's like, wait, what? So that's where we get Cyborg saying, I think we're all missing the point here. And let me just kind of point out for Cyborg, this is the worst possible character design possible. He looks like he's literally just wrapped in shiny chrome like duct tape. It's not a good look. Anyway, so he's saying, like, whether or not the force he used was justified, Red X committed a homicide tonight, then fled the scene. And Starfire says, and was aided in his escape by Nevermore. So Beast Boy is saying, like, maybe Nevermore or whatever is just trying to protect everyone. To which Raven says, I don't think so. And I don't think Flash and Tempest are going to find them. Not in the here and now, at least. So Nightwing's like, all right, yeah, but we can't call it the search. The optics of that, to which Starfire apparently gets all upset and says, the optics are already bad. 2 of our students are now fugitives. Our top priority is bringing them in and bringing them to justice. So this is where we see Stitch all of a sudden comes in, and this is a scene that like a lot of people have talked about recently on social media about Stitch. I always saw shit like this coming anyway when I first started covering the series. That's why I'm like, did it really take y'all this many months to finally get around to talking about Stitch? Like, I've been talking about this shit for a while, and y'all finally came around. All right, cool. Well, I guess that's the benefit of actually reading the comics and talking about them. Anyway, so they notice that Stitch is there because Raven is like, oh, so you're using an invisibility cloak. This is not the reason for you to be using that or whatever. So Stitch just kind of sits down and says like, well, yeah, but you know what? I'm the class president or whatever the shit, and I have a right to be at faculty meetings, to which Donna says, yeah, not all of the meetings. But Stitch counters by saying like, well, I got it anyway. Now, Miss Starfire, you said students are on the run with an S. Dane, I get, but what makes you so sure Red X is an Academy student? OMG, you really do know who's under that mask. If you know, then why are you keeping his secret? Wait, is it like some kind of sting operation? That's it, isn't it? Make him feel safe, draw him out into the light, and then wham! To which Cyborg's like, wham? So they get cut off because all of a sudden they're able to like get a transmission from Shazam, Billy Batson, who's still in hell. And so Cyborg was the one who was working on that basically. So they get the message saying, you can hear me encoded, your eyes only important. We don't have much time if we're right. It's all about to go down. Black Adam Jr., I'll explain him later. He and I are putting the pieces in place on our end, but we need all of you in position if we're going to have a chance. I've seen the future here in the Rock of Eternity, and Miss Raven is right. Her visions, everything she's told you about the coming storm is true. Fire and damnation, the whole world bathed in eternal darkness and pure malevolent agony. We're talking about an event of biblical proportions that will define the future of all things, and it's right on our doorstep. Actually, it's past the doorstep. We already let him in. That makes him a ticking time bomb, so I need you all to listen to me very carefully. So that's where we kind of cut off and we go back over to Nevermore and Red X. We're basically just kind of sitting there in Arizona, kind of talking, and Red X is saying like, well, I didn't really mean to kill Simon. I just kind of like, lost my head a little bit. He says he was saying the same thing they all say, how we're in danger and only they can protect us. We're just pawns to them, all of them. And Nevermore says, you've been carrying this around with you for a long time, haven't you? So he just says, my parents abandoned me. My foster parents basically used me. And then eventually I found my way to like the previous Red X. So Dane is even finishing that by saying, until Red X, the second Red X, found you. And he says, he taught me the truth about the world, about people and parents, villains and titans. He showed me it's easier to run towards something than it is to run away. I don't know if he saved my life, but he helped me find its purpose. So Nevermore is telling him, everything you're saying is familiar to me. He says, because of the academy, Simon, the recruitment, the war, they want us to fight. That's Red X. And then Nevermore says, no, it's a much older war than that. I never knew my parents either, but I've heard the story. Who hasn't? A lovely young person, unable but desperate to have a child, and a deal with the Dark Lord himself. So Red X is like, the Dark Lord? He's like, yeah, the darkest. And then he says, he would give her the child, me, but only for a moment. In exchange, she would give him her life, her soul, and mine. And then he says, the destruction of this world and in the next, a lifetime of demonic service to the Dark Lord, my father. That's my destiny. The price of one perfect moment. But anyway, she reneged and she like ran over here to this like convent, thinking she would be safe under the sign of the cross, but obviously she wasn't, because he showed up, killed all the nuns, had the whole place like completely leveled, and just did what he wanted. He says, the academy, making friends, traveling with Billy, with you, growing up, all of it. One perfect moment for which the bills come due. I've been running from it for so long. I wasn't sure why I brought us here, but now I think it was so you could help me figure out that I'm done running. Because he saw all of these like glowing eyes from the darkness, and comes to find out it's all of these like hell beasts. So they finally come out to confront them. He says, it's time to face the future head on. So we see where they're getting ready, but he basically tells Red X, like, this isn't your fight. You don't need to stay here for this. And he, like, conjures up a portal for him and says, quickly, you need to go through the portal, get away from here, and go on, like, with whatever you were doing. But then, as he's, like, doing that, all of a sudden he has this, like, pain in his body. So Red X is like, yo, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And he says, I'll be fine. No more running. Time to fight the future as long as I can. Let Miss Raven know that I'm sorry it took so long. And X, what you did to Simon, it wasn't wrong. You protected us. Portal's closing. You need to go. And then he thanks him or whatever. And then he sees like where one of the X's comes flying at one of the like hell beasts. So basically Red X tells him like, don't worry, you're not in this fight alone. Like, I'm here to help you out. I'm not just going to abandon you and all that shit. So they immediately go into it and start the fight with all of these like hell wolves. And now this is the part where where people have been talking about like this particular issue of Teen Titans Academy with Stitch, where Stitch is basically freaking out because basically the Titans have decided that they're going to go and pursue Dane, and if it's necessary, they're going to kill him. And she's getting all pissed off, saying like, do you even hear yourselves? To which Roy Harper is like, can we just, or what? Can someone get her out of here? And she's like, they are not going anywhere. And that, I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't really give a shit. I know I'm bisexual. I'm part of the community or whatever the hell, but I'm not part of this alphabet mafia. Nobody who goes by the pronouns of they or anything weirder than that is to be taken seriously. If your pronouns are they, them, you need to find a therapist, not people who will accept your pronouns. I'm going to let that statement sit there. And I'm going to repeat it. If your pronouns are they, them, you don't need to find people who will accept that. You need to find a good therapist who enjoys a challenge. So anyway, she says that, and then she says, you're talking about killing a kid. To which Cyborg says, well, if Shazam is right, she says, Billy. His name's Billy. Your name's Victor. He's Gar. She's Corey. No. No. Shazam is Shazam. Well, technically it's Captain Marvel. That's Captain Marvel. His name is Billy. No. You're Victor. No, he's Cyborg. That's not Gar. That's Beast Boy. That's not Corey. That's Starfire. Use the right fucking names, you colossal dumbass. And here's the thing. I actually enjoyed Stitch before this particular issue. I actually thought, Stitch is actually entertaining. A little bit annoying at times, but entertaining. Right now, we're going full on into annoying. Nothing here is fucking entertaining. So, Stitch is saying, like, I can't believe you thought you could hide who you are from us. I don't really think they were trying to. You live in the same tower with them, dumbass. Of course, at some point you were going to find out something. But the whole point of them using code names was so that you would actually call them by their names. It's kind of like down here in the South, how we use sir and ma'am whenever we talk to people. It's not about whether or not you know their first name. It's about respect. And you're not showing them any. You're a child, not showing them respect, demanding respect. So shut the fuck up. Anyway. She says, one more miscalculation from you Titans. Speaking of, Red X may be a murderer, but not Dane. To which John is like, well, not yet. She says, oh, so we hand out the death penalty for stuff someone might do? Maybe? So Raven finally comes up and is like, Stitch, and you're like, I get it. I get why you're so upset and all that shit, but you need to calm down. We're not just talking about murder. We're talking about genocide. Every soul on this planet, and then, in time, everyone in the universe. Maybe more. We're talking about ensuring the survival of all living things. She's like, but at what cost? Well, at the cost of one life. I mean, sometimes the needs of the few outweigh, or the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Whatever the fuck that Star Trek reference is. Anyway, and Donna says, compared to the alternative, a relatively low one. Yeah. If this one guy who's going to bring about the apocalypse, if killing him will ensure the survival of all of humanity, well, I think it's okay to kill the Antichrist. Have you never seen The Omen? Speaking of The Omen, I've seen both of the first movies, and when I was watching the third one, I watched it like halfway through and then I fell asleep. I've never gone back to actually finish it. One of these days I will. Total non sequitur, but I thought that deserved mentioning. Anyway, so she's saying, wow, there it is. There's the problem. You're too old. You've been doing this so long, seen so much, paid so dearly that your baseline's changed. Yeah, well, when you've paid an actual price and you've had to watch people you love die, things kind of change, don't they, Stitch? So it says, is that what this job does to you? Because if it is, I don't want... Okay, then quit. Yes, that is absolutely what being a superhero does to you. If you're not able to handle that, if you're not equipped to handle that, then quit. No one's keeping you here. She says, if killing a 14-year-old boy, a boy whose life has been entrusted to you, is low cost, then what about 2 lives? 3,000? See, that's that type of bullshit that people try to act like, well, you're talking about one person. That means you're actually talking about, like, everybody. No, we're talking about one person. Stop trying to escalate this shit. What about me? Am I even alive, really? I guess the jury's still out on that. We don't even know what the fuck you are. Does that make killing me even lower cost? Maybe. I don't know if you're a living thing. I don't know how you came to be, because we haven't had any actual exploration on you or any of the other students in this series so far. It says the line you're talking about crossing shouldn't move based on the severity of the threat. Hell, there shouldn't even be a line at all. There should be no chance of the Titans doing a heinous thing they know is wrong. So Nightwing tries to assuage her by saying, we're just considering worst case alternatives, Stitch. We have a plan to subdue and isolate him. No one wants to hurt Nevermore. And so this is where she's like, Dane. His name is Dane. You need to say his name because I know your name, dick. So that's when all of a sudden Beast Boy and Starfire decide to be total fucking like immature bitches and be like, well, we actually agree with her. We don't need to talk about killing him just yet. And that's why you walk into a fucking situation, get your asses kicked, and damn near die. Because y'all walked into the shit like, well, we're just trying to capture them. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my god, they're too powerful for us. And then y'all almost die. That's how this shit always happens. And here y'all are doing the exact same fucking thing. Anyway, I know I'm very angry with this comic, but it's because every time I was reading this shit, I had to reread it before I did this video. And I had read it a time before that. Every time I read it, I get more annoyed with this dialogue. Anyway, so Cyborg says, we know what Billy's message said. 4 powerful demon riders will rampage over the earth, raining death and destruction until nothing is left. And Donna says, and the son of the Dark Lord of Hell will deliver them. That's Dane. So Beast Boy is trying to be a little bitch and say like, well, but maybe he can like control it, we don't have to go straight to killing him. But Raven says like, look, he's basically the Antichrist. He's here to usher in the apocalypse. Even if he wanted to, I don't think he can control that. So that's where we go back over to Dane and Nevermore and Red X, who are here still fighting against the demon dogs and shit. And as they're doing all of that, who else but Neron should show up saying, hello, Danny boy, you're looking much better than when I saw you last. Because like I said, he was in hell with Shazam. Anyway, so Dane says, Neron, funny, I was just talking about depraved sycophants ingratiating themselves to my father. So Neron's just like, well, such a mouth on you these days, even without Miss Raven around to protect you. Anyway, you're not wrong. Daddy did send me. It's time. So Red X is like, wait, what time? He's like, dude, pick up a Bible. Then you'll know what's about to happen. And then he says, and he says, Simon says hi. He's waiting for you downstairs. We all are. And then he just like pushes both of them through a portal and says, see you both very soon. This part actually made me laugh because there's this character named Matt Price who apparently was found like at sea. He doesn't know anything about where he came from or what his actual name is because he got the name, I think it was Matt Price or was it Matt Smith, one or the other. He got the name from like a poem or whatever the hell. And so he knows nothing about like his past and shit like that. And we've never seen him being gay with anybody, but all of a sudden apparently he's being gay with this kid. It was his actual roommate because he like wins this little trophy. He says, "Oh my God, Mark, your little sister made this for me." And he says, "Isn't it cute?" He's like, "You're cute." I was like, okay, fine. That was something, but like the dude doesn't even say anything back. And then all of a sudden, Dane and Red X come through this portal. And then like the demon dog follows them and immediately sucks the life out of the dude. And Matt is just like, whoa, what's going on? I'm not gonna lie, it made me laugh because I was like, he just had his little gay moment, and then the dude he was hitting on literally died right after that. I was like, and I'm not laughing because like for any like malicious reason. I'm laughing because I was basically identifying with Matt. I was like, if that had been me, that's probably what would happen. All of a sudden, a demon would come from a portal and suck the life out of the like cute guy that I was talking to. That is exactly how it would happen. Thank God it hasn't because I have a boyfriend. He's still alive. So, but when I saw that, I started laughing so hard for no particular reason. Anyway. So Dane starts lashing out at like the demon hound and shit like that. Red X tries to calm him down, but Dane says, I can't control it. Neron was right. They're here. So that's when we go back over to the Titans because Tubi is coming to them like, yo, you need to come with me right now. So they're like, oh shit is real. And they finally like run back to find that like Dane has been wrapped up into this bubble with these demons and shit. And they're starting to, I don't know, torture him or something. Red X is there just looking very concerned, and of course that's when the Titans come into the room. And then that's when the actual like story cuts off for right now. So I don't know where this is about to go. It's very annoying because like I said, they're trying to do this whole thing with like, you know, Dane and like the powers of hell and shit like that. It just feels like they're trying to do like a Raven storyline without making it about Raven because everybody's tired of it being about Raven and Trigon. You know what I mean? Like it's basically that exact same thing, but it's like, no, we're doing it with a new character that we just created. It's not the same thing. It's not what you've read. Yes, it has all of the exact same elements and a lot of the same type of moving parts, but that's not what you're reading. We're doing something completely different, except you're not. You're definitely not. And not only are you not doing something new, you're not even giving us the type of payoff that you promised us with Red X. Well, maybe they didn't promise it, but that we expected. You brought Red X into the shit. You've been teasing about like, well, people are finding out what his identity is. So basically the reader will find out at some point. And then you have this shit where Dana's kind of like, no. Don't ever, never reveal who you really are. That's power. It's like, no, that's annoying. That's all it is. It's not power. It's not intrigue. It's not mystery. It's just annoying that you have this character there who apparently literally everybody but us knows who it is, and we're supposed to pretend like, oh, it's fine that he's just gonna keep the mask on and we'll never know. No, just show us who the fuck it is. It's not gonna hurt anyone's feelings. I don't even care if it's a character that nobody knows or cares about. Just reveal the shit. I'm tired of y'all teasing this mystery, hoping that that'll keep people buying this book. Unfortunately, well, that hasn't really worked for me. The only reason why I really bought this was because it has to do with hell, and Shazam is on the cover. Sorry, Captain Marvel is on the cover. That's really the only... I love both of those like two concepts very much. Captain Marvel and just anything having to do with hell. Call me dark if you want, but that's very much the type of thing I'm into. So I don't really know what else I can say about this that won't just be another dig at it, because like I said, it doesn't seem like the whole Red X thing is ever going to go anywhere. So there isn't a whole lot to actually go off of there. I don't know if anybody is even bothering to keep up with this series. If you are, not only do I hope that God is with you, but I do hope you will actually share your thoughts with me down below in the comment section. And even if you're not keeping up with it, still feel free to share your thoughts with me down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, then definitely make sure that you've liked the video. Make sure you are subscribed. Hit the notification bell. That way you know when I have new videos coming out for you. And if you would like, share out the video. I do appreciate that immensely. A lot more than they fucking like appreciate you reading this book. I guarantee you that. But anyway, if you're done here, then go and read a book. And if not, then I'll see you on my next video.